Yo, what up, you guys? So today we're going to export a flash drive so you could play on CDJs. And we're going to talk about some of the things that happen that may get in the way of you playing a song that you've made or a song that you've downloaded or what have you. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about something that is relatively important to the process. So you cannot export music off of a hard drive onto a flash drive to play on CDJs. I thought you could. I could have sworn you could, but it cannot be on an external hard drive. It will say it's unknown on the decks when you get up to play, and it'll ruin your night. It sucks. So um, the first thing I would do is create some sort of a playlist. Like if you're like me, I have no storage at all with this MacBook Air. So I have to create playlists based on the set that I'm going to play on my hard drive and then pull them over when it's time to export so my flash drive can read it effectively, right? So this song right here, this is 10 Toes Down, me and Mad Salvi. So I actually pulled it from my hard drive and dropped it into my playlist, right? This is the playlist that we're going to use. So we're going to go into Record Box. You can only do this from Record Box, from my understanding. So to the left here, you see collections, playlist. So the playlist is going to be the one that's actually going to show up on your flash drive. So name that accordingly. So we're going to take the USB tutorial and drag it up here on this little thing so we can access it easily. Below that, you have related tracks. I don't ever really mess with that. Of course, you have iTunes. Don't ever really mess with that either. Explorer is going to be where you're going to be able to find the song. So I know it's on my desktop, so I'm going to drop the desktop down. Let's see, exporting flash drive tutorial or whatever you have in your, whatever you want to name it, set for so-and-so. So here's the song. So it's not really going to show up because it hasn't been analyzed yet. There's a way you can turn on like the analyzing stuff, but say you have a bunch of them, you can click them, just highlight them and drop them in your tutorial. You know what the songs are because you put them in the playlist specifically. And of course, you want to try to get like an hour or two of music or what have you. So you can see it's analyzing here. It's going to get the BPM, all that fun stuff. So while this is analyzing, I thought it'd be quicker than that. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of what this process looks like. All right. Or maybe we're not. I don't know. I'm very task oriented right now. All right, so you have your song here. And one thing you can do is pull it in here. Make sure that all the grids line up. So the drop is right here. So I'd want to take that and hit the grid where it lines up right there. It's this little line. And you're in export mode. Don't forget that. You have performance and all this stuff. Export mode is going to be where you're going to want to do this. So boom, there it is right there. So you can see it's pretty on beat, right? So now that we have our USB tutorial playlist, use your imagination. Imagine there's a whole set in here. You're going to go down to the devices, and it might help if I have my device in. So I'm just going to throw one in real quick. And if you play on any sort of Pioneer decks, CDJ RB, DDJ whatever, CDJs are going to be relatively the same, so don't be scared or anything like that. I'm assuming it's probably going to be newer folks that are going to watch this, or if you're looking for a solution to a problem you already have. So here we are, reading tracks for my JB backup. This is one of the flash drives that I've started playing. Some tracks were analyzing older. That hasn't really affected me all too much, so I normally just hit OK with that. So we have our JB backup here. So if you click on it, you can see device name. You can mess with this a little bit. RGB, I think it's red, green, blue, which is going to show like the different like parameters and bass and mids and what have you. So you can pretty much take all this and do what you want with it. You can make it creative. So you heard me talking about space. You see that pop up. So all right, here we go. So we have our playlist. You're going to go to Sync Manager. You're going to click the device here. So it's going to be JB Backup. and you're going to hit synchronize playlist with device. So you're going to click on the one that you wanted to do, which is USB tutorial. You're going to hit this button right here, and it's going to automatically start syncing your playlist onto your flash drive. Then just being able to stick it in a CDJ and start playing. So a couple things to remember when doing this. So if for some reason you get to a point where a song is the wrong bit rate, and you don't want to, oh, by the way, I'm not going to do this because my flash drive is, I have it the way I want it. I don't want to mess with it right now. So you literally just hit sync and it'll sync right over. Things you'll run into is it'll give you like an error code. The two that I know, one of them is because it's not on your desktop. You know, we talked about that earlier. It will not take it from here. Like for example, if I were to like just move that song to trash, let's see, go back to this playlist, and you see how it has that little explanation mark right there. So that means that it's unlocatable. It can't find it because it's not there. Even though that exact song is on my hard drive, it's not going to locate it for whatever reason. Sometimes that won't show up because it can recognize it on your hard drive, but it won't translate well. Another thing you can do that you might run into with exporting is actually with Audacity. If you have a song with a bit rate that's a little bit out of whack for some reason, or just you've tried to play it in sets and have already done all this, you can actually drag a song into here. Morning High actually showed me this, and it'll stay a WAV file. Like for example, you can drag something out here. And of course, if you're on Ableton exporting, always export in 16-bit. It'll play every time. But if you have a song that for some reason is not in that bit, then you go to export as WAV. You don't do anything to it. You just do export as WAV. And you do 16-bit PCM, save it, export it, and you can drag that song. Will now play on CDJ. So that's just about it. It's relatively simple. You have to build your own style of playlist and kind of put that together, but this is kind of the first hurdle to get over. Rekordbox is kind of confusing sometimes, and just make sure that you build a playlist on your desktop that's bulletproof. It'll work every time. Make sure you use 16-bit WAV files. They sound great. They work good. And start building up a playlist. And CDJs are just like any other Pioneer deck. They got play, volume, and they just kind of go with the flow, start mixing. So that's kind of the quick rundown on my experience with Rekordbox and exporting to CDJs. So with that being said, much love you guys. We'll see you next time.